Every day now, it seems, we get more updates about Tesla's robotaxi plans and full self-driving. Today, we're going to talk about three very important new information. First, we'll share a new report from China Daily that, according to sources, Tesla's planning on testing its robotaxi in China. And second, Elon Musk just posted two major comments about the next FSD update, one of which is that FSD version 12.4 is going to roll out next week. And finally, we'll watch video of Brad Gerstner, a venture capitalist with billions under management, and now a big Tesla stock fan, what he has to say about Tesla's advantage in self-driving cars. We have Brian White joining us. He has his own YouTube channel called FutureAza. Thank you so much, Brian.
Oh, what a week it has been, Herbert. Let's get into this, huh?
Let's get into it. So some of this, of course, is just sources, but it's got credible kind of rings to it. So that's why I think it's worth talking about. The first one is coming directly from China Daily. Tesla's plans to test its robotaxi in China. And this, of course, follows the visit that Elon had with the premier 2 weeks ago. And also that, Grace Tao, who's VP of in China for Tesla, and she's made remarks about robotaxi in China too. And of course, 8.8, right? So Elon Musk proposed testing the full self-driving or FSD functions in his vehicles in the Chinese market. That we knew that, but he talked about deploying them as taxis during his recent visit to China. And sources indicate that the Chinese government may have offered partial support for this plan. We don't know what they mean by partial support. In addition to seeking approval for its most advanced FSD software rollout in China, Musk also suggested implementing these functions in the country's taxi services. Individuals close to the matter told China Daily that China welcomes Tesla to do some robotaxi tests in the country and hopes it to set a good example. So that's what they talked about there. What's your thoughts on that, Brian?
So you got to look at what a government's objectives are. And when you've got a country like China where they're able to centrally plan, they can make things happen when they want things to happen. Good example is 20 years ago, they had absolutely atrocious air quality, and they needed to get as many vehicles to stop using gasoline and start using natural gas. So the way they did it was they first mandated that all the taxis would switch to compressed natural gas. And they did, because it was mandatory. Do you want to drive a taxi or not? And that made small strides to improve their air quality, but other factors were coming on at the same time that were causing other problems. And so when electric cars became a thing, they were able to push that just as hard and say, look, do you want to use the roads or not? And now over just the last few years, we've watched the air quality improve. If you look at drone footage from 3-4 years ago from Shanghai, you can see that every day was still hazy. When I lived there, people said, oh, I asked, why have I never seen the sun? And they said, well, it's cloudy, it's fog. I said, no, my friend, fog burns off. This is something else. But now there are blue skies in China, in big cities. So this is a step that they can take. Now, getting back to robotaxi, why would a country with so much labor want to end the number one job in most countries? Driving is the biggest job. And the answer is their population is aging and they will run out of workers. They need people who have these skills. China's education system, their standard of living has come so far in the last 20 years that just being a driver is an inadequate allocation of human resource for many. These people have skills that are far beyond that, and they should be encouraged and supported in ways that allow them to stop doing things that are below their skill set. So with the aging population, their baby boom crunch, like in the US, we're seeing the big wave of baby boomers starting to age out of the workforce. Their boom is much bigger, and their retirement age is much lower. It's something like 55 for women and 60 for men. That is one of the youngest retirement ages in the world. And while I couldn't find a source on it this morning, what I've heard from Chinese people is that unlike in the US where that's your minimum retirement age, in China it's more of an enforced retirement age. You do retire at the retirement age. This was a policy put in place long ago to make room for younger workers, and they just haven't revised it. There's been a lot of talk of revising it, but they're going to have a labor crunch which could be alleviated by things like robotaxi. We've seen China take big strides to enabled testing and limited implementation of self-driving systems from other companies, it only makes sense that they would also do so for Tesla, with whom they have a very strong relationship.
Yeah, I also think that, China has came out from nowhere, created an auto industry, now have hundreds of electric vehicle car companies who are now going to go global, and many of them are succeeding, and many of them dying in China, but it's happened. And now they want to adopt robotaxi, right? Autonomous driving. And they want to be seen as the leaders. They want to be seen now as tech forward. We've been seeing reports in the last 6 months, a year, that one of the big reasons why Chinese, the consumer buys the Chinese electric vehicle cars is because they're positioned as tech forward. Technology is much more important than luxury. Like BMW and others, that's what they promote. And so being able to say that we are the first to create autonomous driving, and the thing about China too, of course, is they can just do a mandate, right? And they just automatically flip it and says, "This is what we're doing." And it sounds like that's where they're headed towards. So I do believe that this is what's going to be announced on August 8th, right? That there's going to be an announcement that robotaxi is coming there. And the interesting thing too, just to add this part here, was industry experts said that despite rising protectionism, including TikTok's ban in the United States, China sent a clear signal that it's further opening its doors to multinational companies to test their advanced technologies in the country for mutual gain. I think that they actually, what you said, right? They need it, and especially with their deflation, but they also are doing this. So, what do you think, Brian? Do you think that self driving could become when they decide, if they're going to decide to do it, they're going to go all in, and it could happen fast. It can happen, wide.
There are guardrails that you can put in place that would make self-driving easier. We saw in Sweden, I think it was years ago, Volvo was testing a self-driving system that required embedded transponders in the roadways. You can't do that worldwide. But if that was what was needed in China, China could make it happen. Let's step back and say, what's a more reasonable thing to do? You could say that this expressway is only for self-driving cars. No human operated vehicles on this highway. If you wish to get between these cities using this road, that's the rule. This is a robot highway. That would allow for new standards to be set on how they operate, because a lot of the overwhelming majority of what a robotaxi has to do is anticipate humans, and humans are very unpredictable. But if it's a robot only system, they could make it happen. Imagine how much easier it would be to solve autonomy if you could take the human out of the equation. All the other drivers, especially if it's on a highway, then you can take out all the pedestrians, all the random things that you might find on a city street. So if there is a interim step between level 5 in city streets and where we are today, China's the one place that could actually make it happen.
Brian, do you know that August 8th is coming up? 90 days,
It
something like that,
Yeah,
right?
it's where's the year going? My question to you, Herbert, is, and for really anyone in the comments, is what do you expect to see? Do you expect to
Mhm.
see a timeline? Do you expect to see something within 1 to 3 years?
Mhm.
What are you looking for?
My mind has been changed, right? Because initially I came out saying that, listen, we've been here before, right? He, I had this fantastic space recently, and it was the discussion about what did Elon see, right? Because it was he is a user of an X account called Charity Trades. He's now going by Lord Flacco or something like that, and he is fantastic. He said this, right. He goes, if you count back to when he made the announcement that they're going to do the robotaxi in 8, that's his decision, and then if you follow through with his understanding that they can actually see at least 4 months out forward. So he already knew that the technology of FSD is going to prove something. He saw something, and it gave him that conviction to just go ahead and reorganize the company, go all in on this, and make it happen, and make an announcement that it's going to happen. So, anyways, he if you calculate out how fast that they're rolling out these releases, and the next story we're going to talk about the next 12.4 release, and he knows already how good that is going to be. That by actually just fluke wise, 8/8, August 8th, the day that they're going to get to 12.5, and they're going to have really good. It should be a really good service at that point. So my point back is that I initially said that on 8/8, it's just going to be, right? It's just going to be the announcement. They're going to show you what the Robotaxi is, but it's not going to be the Robotaxi first design vehicle. But it's not like, they're going to release it for a year or two yet later. But then, others were saying they're not going to do that, right? They're going to have to, of course they're going to do the demo. They're going to press the app. They're going to see the car because you can do that now. You can have the car pick you up and drive you. That's fine. They can do that today. But the whole thing about the timeline with the app and actually even like some sort of bigger announcement, like, we've already got authority and this is where we're going to launch it and so forth. So, and then the other thing that people are saying was that not only will they show you the Robotaxi, they're going to show you the other cars, the other low cost, affordable cars. Um, and that I didn't believe so until, of course, the earnings call when Elon said that we'll talk more about the more affordable car then. So
Very exciting. I wonder how much we just heard that Tom Zhu has relocated back to Giga Shanghai, and I wonder if that is. I've seen speculation that that could be for the Juniper refresh, but my thought is this might be for the intermediate compact because uh, uh, factories are his core competency. And then, of course, you see people saying, no, he's going back to manage FSD. I don't know if that's the best use of his talent. I don't know what he's been working on since he's been out of Giga Shanghai and working in the U.S. But I think factories is where he's strongest, and that's something that would make sense to me.
well, they're the same thing, right? So he's there to implement the brand new unboxed model. So the two things, right? Which is the low affordable cars, but also the robotaxi design vehicles. So we'll see. So the next storyline here is actually, the Elon's couple comments now on what to expect with the next version. I'm going to start it off with this tweet from this person named Chris Card Collector One, and he just a regular person trying out full self driving, and he says FSD full self driving in my Tesla. In case no one believes this exists or has never seen it before, it is truly special to sit back and let the car drive you, and you don't get driver fatigue. He's just talking about supervised FSD. I'll play the video, but there's really nothing. There's nothing here that's really, you know, exciting. He's just basically saying this is so relaxing. Just me sitting here, driving away in my car. And the reason I'm showing this is because Tesla.com themselves replied to this, and so did Elon.
Right. And this is boring. It's supposed to be. This part of the drive is not meant to be exciting. And to me, that's what's exciting about it. It's just, it's just handling it. There are still plenty of little complaints that I and others have about the 12.3 branches, things that it does that we would do differently, but not a lot of things that it does that are scary or dangerous, like we saw with earlier versions, at least that I'd seen. So this is, to me, the boring part of this video is what makes it great.
Yeah, exactly correct. I'm actually shocked that he's actually not holding the wheel, because if I don't hold it, I'll always get those nags saying you gotta give a little
Well,
bit
he
of
is
a
getting,
tug.
yeah, he is getting nags, and that was pointed out to someone who'd responded to this post on X saying, interesting that you're reposting a video where they're hands off. Thought they were supposed to be hands on,
Yeah,
and at least he's not using a cheat device like some
yeah,
still do.
yeah. So this is Tesla themselves. Tesla's account forwarded his video. It said driving with FSD supervised can help reduce fatigue since you won't have to frequently make micro adjustments as compared to driving without it. And I absolutely love that they did this, because people just discount FSD supervised. They think it's just still beta testing, and they think that, oh, you need to wait till Robotaxi before the value comes. And there is absolute value in FSD supervised. Even if that's all it stays, I think it's a major game changer. Elon Musk replied to that, saying the latest version of Tesla's supervised self-driving will blow your mind. He said that several times already, Brian.
In the past, about all the other previous builds, he's playing the greatest hits, but he's not wrong. I've seen people criticize saying, oh, here's a bunch of screen grabs of you saying about version 9, 10, 11, and now you're saying it about this one. Right. But those were big, big steps. If your mind wasn't blown, I have to wonder if there's any mind in there at all and what's going on. Is it cobwebs? Do you need a little grease? Because maybe they need to change their oil. But this is a big deal. This is version, the 12 dots that I have been using have been magnificent. My confidence has been restored in ways that I was starting to think couldn't happen. We'd seen such great successes with version 11 in certain places, and I'd seen that success myself when I took my car to California to run it through the paces there. That's not why I went. I went for the factory tour, but I got a chance to try it. And I thought, once I entered California, I thought, yep, this is what everybody raves about. But if it doesn't work where I live, it doesn't work. And the 12 dots work. And
Yeah.
considering that there's still a few things left to go, but we can see the finish line now. And it's exciting. There are some final, last mile questions that have to be answered, but I have absolute confidence that they know the answers. They just haven't yet been implemented.
And then this is just this morning, Elon Musk pointed out that probably start rolling out 12.4 next week. Again,
Yeah.
just incredible pace. And 12.4 is going to be massive improvements over 12.2, 12.3.6. That's what we're expecting. And so many people have been saying that this is the actual judge. You need to watch the improvement and this pace of improvement, but it's 12.4. If we see 12.4 to be a significant jump compared to 12.3, just like we experienced with 12.3 versus 12.2 and others, this is a signal. And when he says it's going to blow your mind, we'll see, right? We'll see if he's just saying it. But if it can actually truly show you, like, whoa, 12.4 really is a big jump, we're off to the races, right, Brian? What's your thinking about that comment?
So there's people I've seen saying Tesla's data advantage is grossly overstated. And I pushed back and asked why. And they said because Elon himself said only 1 in 10,000 of the data is actually useful. And I said, right. That's why you need 10,000 times more data, is because if you didn't have it, then you've got
Exactly.
nothing. You've got no training data. Could you imagine if FSD only could train on 500 drivers? You would be looking for the corn in the field of manure, and you would not find it because it's just there's not enough to go by. You love me, you know it.
I love
But
you.
there but there is the data aspect is what's needed. I know a lot of people said, I'm going to go out, jump on the highway, and give this a bunch of training data. And I said, no, no, no. If that's your objective, stay in the city. That's where they need the data. On the highway, if it's not on full stack, it's useless. If it is on full stack, it's so good it doesn't really matter. Uh, Stay in the city, give it try and think up challenges, go up strange hills and back roads that it hasn't seen before or hasn't seen much of. That's where the value is. And if you're just getting out to enjoy the beautiful day, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So this whole thing about do you need the data and how much data do you have? Brad Gerstner, we're going to watch his video. He is a venture capitalist that is managing billions of dollars. He is the CEO of Altimeter Capital. He's become very big in terms of Tesla. And he and Bill Gurley, famous venture capitalists, were the early investors in Uber. And so they know the self-driving, the autonomy, the ride-hail business. And they've been doing an amazing podcast called BG2, where they really explain why this is so critical. And one of the things they just did, I did a show that with Hans explains what they said about the big data requirements and why that's important, just like what you said. So here we've got basically we're gonna watch his video where he talks about Elon Musk has an edge in AI and self-driving tech. Tesla's made a big breakthrough in imitation learning technology, which is the neural net. Let's listen into what he says.
You have a small position, speaking of driving, autonomous driving and the like in Tesla, which you revealed on our program the last time we spoke. What takes it from a quote-unquote small position to something larger? What do you need to see from Elon and that company from here?
Well, first, let me say, I think Elon's done an extraordinary job, and I think his advantage in AI and full self-driving relative to all the other manufacturers in the world is deeply underappreciated. I described FSD 12 as a chat GPT moment for self-driving. After 10 years of marginal improvements, we had a profound breakthrough around the imitation learning of FSD 12. I think that will be an incredibly valuable asset to the company. I don't think it's an asset that can be replicated by other OEMs in the United States. They simply lack the data. And this is data in, pixels in, and control plane out. So unless you have the data, you're going to have a very hard time catching Tesla in full self-driving. I don't think BYD is going to be able to, play in that game either. And I thought it was fascinating. At the moment that the United States is banning TikTok, that the Chinese government is providing permission to Tesla to do full self-driving in partnership with Baidu in China. It shows the resilience and the strength of the relationships that Elon Musk has in China and that Tesla has in China, and their own push toward AI. So I think, you can't think of the company as an auto company. You have to think of it as a technology company. Today, we think that it's, fully valued. It's been a volatile ride, but we think this may be one of the companies that can break through on energy, can break through on AI and FSD. And so we're paying very close attention, because if we start to see the adoption and the conversion on FSD that we think is possible, this will be a story like Apple and services, where services becomes an increasingly important part of their profit makeup.
So it's wonderful to start seeing all these, a few more of these institutional investors, these analysts, these VCs, jumping on. Now he's not somebody who just jumped on recently, but I'm just saying that it's great to watch this unfold.
And I would say that the jump, he used the word profound to describe the difference between version 11 and version 12. And I would absolutely agree. Before that, what we saw was often one step forward, two steps back, maybe two steps forward, one step back. And with version 12, there were very few new situations, but a whole lot of things resolved by it. So it's going to, if it works, and the data won't lie. And like you said, who else has the data? No one else has this kind of data. If they wish to get this kind of data, it will take them, well, first of all, they'll need a time machine to go back and put sensor suites on every car. And then they'll need the back end to manage all that data. Then they'll need, they can't even, unless they've got some kind of situation that convinces me to link my Ford Explorer to my Wi-Fi, they won't even be able to get the data, because sometimes it's gigs of data that needs to be sent back for the training. They've really been penny wise and pound foolish. They saved a few bucks 5-10 years ago to make their quarterlies look better, and now they find themselves with this data deficit that cannot be overcome in the short term. Even in the medium term, I just don't see how they get there. They would have to do something radical and expensive that the board of directors probably wouldn't like, and their shareholders may remove them over. So it'll be, interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, not only the data, right? They've got to have the supercomputer, $10 billion per year. They have to have the neural nets.
And then the talent to make sense of the data.
Yeah. So, okay.
Where are you going to find them?
People still think. Okay, we'll see. All right. Thank you so much, Brian. Follow him on his YouTube channel, FutureAza. He's got, as you can see here, very brilliant man. Just love having you. Your knowledge is just unbelievable. Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.